This is the time, though, when we have to ask ourselves the question. When Roland was saying, what are you going to do? I was like, oh, we're going to tag team, because that's my question for you. What are you going to do? We have 1,000 reasons why we should lay down, but all we need is one reason to get up. That's all we need. Reverend Kyle said, we didn't like the idea of bringing in new blood, so we gathered and we put an end to that foolishness. I don't know if y'all heard that, but he said we gathered and put an end to that foolishness. Well, this looks like a gathering to me. This looks like a gathering. Would this be considered a gathering? So why don't we decide what foolishness we want to put an end to? You pick your foolishness, and then you get in action. And then let's put an end to it. I believe when we understand the power that we have as individuals, the power that we have by the energy and the strength that runs through our veins and in our blood. I know my grandmother's back, and I know from which I've come. So I'm not going to question how much can I go and what can I go do. I'm not asking that. I know my lineage, and you know yours. That's why we're here. They locked arms. They made a decision. They had a meeting, and they put the end to the foolishness. And so what about us? What about us? This conversation is not about asking Dr. King and his energy and his spirit to do anything. It's about paying homage to those who were there and then picking up the mantle and doing our part. That's what this meeting is about. It's not about entertainment. It's not about edutainment. It's about a divine assignment. And so I ask you, why are you sitting in this room? Of the thousands of people who could be in this room, space is limited. Why are you here? You should have thought twice before you walked through that door, because with that passage comes the responsibilities. Yes?
Yes.
Comes the Are you willing to stand up when it's not popular? Yes. Are you willing to walk into a room and have an unrealistic conversation with somebody? Are you willing to stand up for your beliefs even in the face of adversity? Are you willing? Are you willing to fight for the child that's not born yet? Are you willing? It's just a simple question. Are you willing? See, Dr. King lives in me. Does Dr. King live in you? Does Dr. King live in you? See, because I didn't hear y'all. Yes. This is not a monologue, this is a dialogue. Yes. See, we're going to talk about the activity. We're going to get you in action today. Roland's been trying to do it since the beginning of the conversation, is to get you in action. And we're so comfortable being passive learners that the act of activity is actually more uncomfortable than the act of just being passive. And so we're going to exercise our active muscle. You guys ready for it? Yes. It's going to require, free your hands. Okay. It's going to require you to uncross your legs, get a little uncomfortable, because I believe Reverend Kyle, y'all was a little uncomfortable back in the day, right? Mary, y'all got a little uncomfortable, right?
No, I ain't seeing that room.
Right, you were willing to do what you got to do. So I'm going to ask you a question again. Does Dr. King live in you?
Yes.
Does that fire that burned in his belly and the belly of those who marched beside him, does that fire live in you?
Yes.
Are you willing to be sick and tired enough to have the meeting and put an end to some foolishness?
Yes.
I can't hear you. Y'all say that's a soft yes. All right, so then when I point to you, I want in this group, I want just in this section right here, when I point to you, I want you to stand, because you need to feel yourself taking a stand. Okay, so I want you to stand, and on the count of 3, I want you to say, Dr. King lives in me, right? And then I'm going to point to this group. And you stand and say, Dr. King lives in me. And then I'll point to you guys, but you guys should be pros by the time I get to you. And I want you to say it with conviction, not trepidation. I want you to say it with power and purpose. Can you guys do that? Okay, ready. Congressman, can you hold that for me? All right, this group right here, just stand up. 1, 2, 3.
Dr. King lives in me.
This group, stand up. 1, 2, 3.
Dr. King lives in me.
1, 2, 3.
Dr. King lives in me.
This group. 1, 2, 3.
Dr. King lives in me.
This group.
Dr. King lives in me. 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 Dr. King lives in me.
Everybody.
Dr. King lives in me.
So now we realize that we are part. Don't sit down. We're going to stay in activity. Don't sit down. Now in the spirit of those gentlemen, these gentlemen, this lady, these gentlemen's ladies, let's lock arms the way they did. Oh, I'm a little uncomfortable with this, so why don't you move out of your comfort zone a little bit? That's where the activity occurs. Now, I want you to hear my voice. And I want you to repeat after me. I stand here in this room.
I stand here in this room.
Because some great people made a huge sacrifice.
Because some great people made a huge sacrifice.
I am the benefactor.
I am the benefactor.
And I recognize they made an investment in me.
And I recognize they made an investment in me.
And I'm a good investment.
And I'm a good investment.
I will choose to stand in my power.
I will choose to stand in my power.
And make the fight worthwhile.
And make the fight worthwhile.
I am the solution.
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 And I don't ask permission to be that.
And I don't ask permission to be that.
So get ready.
So get ready.
Get ready.
Get ready.
Get ready.
Get ready.
Because I'm getting in action.
Because I'm getting in action.
Turn to somebody on your left and right and say, I'm getting in action.
I'm getting in action.
Okay, so what that looks like is Roland asked everyone who's going to stand in the prison to join this beautiful woman. So you have all kind of other options. For those of you who believe in mentoring, it saved my life. Go spend some time. It's maybe 100 people in here. If you just spend 4 hours a month, just us, just 4 hours, 1 month, how many hours just went to saving our children? I mean, it's just small stuff. I see that you think that it's so big, you can't make a dent. But you know, you can knock a giant down with a little bitty rock. Right? You can knock a giant down if your intentions are right. And so I want to close this poem with you. I want to implore you, ask yourself the question, what's my chip at Goliath? What's my chip at the giant? I don't need to do the hoe. You don't need the shovel or the dump truck, but get your spoon out and chip away at the giant. Yes, yes? Yes. I want to share a poem with you guys before I close. You can have a seat. Thank you so much for being in action. I wrote this poem about 2 weeks ago. And if you, Graves, if you want to get this poem, is it on Chevrolet yet?
Yes.
Okay, you can go to Chevrolet.com/MLK and get this poem if you would like it, or you can go to drkinglivesinme.com and get this poem if you like it. And it's a tribute to you, sir, Reverend Kyles. When I was in Atlanta, I was with Miss Clayton, who you might know. She was a part of Movement Congressman Lewis and Reverend Moss, and they all shared stories. Mrs. Clayton shared the story of driving up to the memorial in Atlanta with Coretta. That's what she called her, Miss King, I call her. And when they went inside, they looked at Dr. King in the casket, and his makeup was red. It was a discolored makeup. It didn't match his face. And she asked the mortician, can you put a better makeup on? The mortician was very brass and said, that's all we have. And she said she was standing next to Harry Belafonte's wife, who was light complected. She took some of her rouge, and she took some of Mama King's rouge, Reverend Dr. King's mom's, who was dark. And she blended them together and made the color of Dr. King's skin. Like, are you willing to be unrealistic? Are you willing to be non-negotiable? Don't ask permission anymore. Just do what needs to be done because it's the right thing to do. So in that, I attribute this poem to you, sir, and to everyone in this room. And I wrote it this way because I needed us to bridge generations. I wasn't there. I want to respect that. But there was a reason why I wasn't there. Because I'm here. I'm here. I wasn't there in 1960 when students all over the South set in at lunch counters demanding equal rights. And I wasn't there in 1962 when men and women in Albany straightened their backs up, recognizing that a man can't ride your back unless it's bent. I wasn't there in 1963 when a group of people aroused the nation and brought into meaning the Civil Rights Bill and movement. That was his dream. But this is my reality. I wasn't there on August 28th, 1963 when Dr. King shared a dream that he had had about a day when little black boys and little black girls can join in unity with little white boys and little white girls and live as sisters and brothers. That was just his dream, but it's now my reality. See, I wasn't even born until 3 years after Dr. King delivered this great dream to the nation. I didn't have to endure separate drinking fountains. I didn't have to endure separate bathrooms or eat in the back of a restaurant because of the color of my skin. I didn't have to do any of those things. I've never had to participate in a boycott or a sit-in for my freedom. I had no living room civil rights meetings, no water holes knocking me down, no biting dogs tearing at my legs, no homemade bombs being thrown into my home just for my quest to be treated right. See, it was his dream that this be my reality. You see, I am the benefactor of a dream spoken for, fought for, suffered for, prayed for, and died for. And the journey is still underway. And we still have so much work to do. So we get to own homes, yes. We get to build businesses, yes. We get to experience fame, yes. And we get to coexist together as brothers and sisters because of the dream part one. But now it's time for the dream part two. See, and in this dream, recognizing that as blacks, whites, Latinos, Asians, Jews and Gentiles, Muslims, Protestants and Catholics, that there are so many barriers that we've already broken through. But we still have hungry mothers. We still have homeless fathers and undereducated children. So my friends, I stopped by to tell you it is time for the dream part two. And in this dream, there's no time for playing small. And there's no going to sleep on the job because, like me, there's an unborn child somewhere that's counting on you. This dream requires that you wake up, stand up, speak up, hurry up. Some of y'all got to catch up. You're going to have to stay prayed up, and you definitely going to have to show up for this one. Because when you do, bring your brilliance with you. And then do all that you can do. Because Dr. King handled the dream part one. But now it's up to you and me to handle the dream part two. Thank you. I love you.
Folks, Lisa, thank you so very much. We're going to close this out. My final comments, our panelists actually going to sign the table. See the markers here. We want you to put your inscription. You can leave a message, whatever you want to say, on one table or both. Okay, on this table right here. Everybody sign this table right here. Let's give it up for Chevy for sponsoring this particular program here. You also can get more information at Chevrolet.com/MLK. Also, out in the lobby, we have these screens set up outside to allow you to be able to give your testimonials. And so, if you want to give the one action item you committed to, you can do it out there. Your thoughts on the program. We'll step right into the lobby to those, is it downstairs? Downstairs to those computer programs, all out there. That is it for me. Do we have final thoughts or are we straight? Yeah? All right, cool. So with the panels, we're going to take photos. So sign the table, we'll take photos. And folks, we're done. Thank you so very much. Thank you for coming out.